What's going on, XRP Army? If you're catching the replay of this stream, you can go ahead and skip ahead to the 4-minute mark. That's when the stream will actually get started. In the meantime, I'll be welcoming people into the stream, checking audio, letting everything get buffered in. I don't want to waste your time. Otherwise, it'll just be behind the scenes stuff of me welcoming people in and talking to people until we actually get things going. So, with all of that out of the way I do the streams is I'll hop into, once we get to the 4-minute mark, I'll hop into the chart and the price analysis and where we're actually at today, because we use the price for context, right? We use it to set up what's actually happening in the market today. But ultimately, we're here for the long view. We're here for what's going to happen a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, not what's happening right now. Then we'll hop into the ETF inflows and we'll hop into the current news and we'll talk about what's actually happening on the XRP ledger. Even though nothing's happening in price and not really much is happening in the news, there is stuff happening behind the scenes on the XRP ledger, and that's what matters, and that's what we need to talk about. And I do have some receipts for you. And I see Raul hopping in here. Hello, Raul. Good afternoon, good morning, whichever one it is where you guys are from. It's about to be noon here. Versatile Fortnite's in the house. Welcome, welcome. Good afternoon. I'm going to go with good afternoon since it's going to change to afternoon here in a couple minutes. And again, if you're coming in live, we start at the 4-minute mark. Excuse me. If you're coming in live, we start at the 4-minute mark. So we'll be just welcoming people into the stream in the meantime. And the chat is very, very important in the stream. Because after I go through all of the information, then I will hop into the chat and I will address every single question, thought, opinion. We're here to create a community and an overall discussion because we are here for the long view. And one of my subscribers actually left a comment that was very, very insightful, talking about if we know it's going to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, then why do we need to grind and grieve and stress of following day-to-day news and updates? And I let him know, that's actually a very mature way to handle investing. You don't have to watch it every single day. It's something I enjoy doing. Once you have an understanding of the material, once you have an understanding of your investment, of your thesis, and you've made up your mind and you make that investment and you set it aside, you absolutely don't have to follow it every single day. I actually, get joy from researching and presenting it to you. And, once I got to that point, I felt like I needed to share it. I'm trying to help people understand it. So that's why I'm here. And again, we'll start at the 4-minute mark for everyone coming in. I'm just rambling right now. It's kind of like a behind the scenes thing, the first 4 minutes. King is, let's see here. King Kong's in the house, said good morning. Raul's in here. He said, please drop. Please drop what? I'm not sure. Let's see here. XRP feels like it's being manipulated. A lot of people feel that way. And, it's, I would say it's no more manipulation than any other stock or any other crypto, market makers. So is it, I would say it's being manipulated, but no more manipulation than any other financial asset is manipulated with leverage and everything else. I don't know if it's being intentionally suppressed like some of the theories are that are out there. Let's see here. Daniel Parker's in the house. All right. And we're coming up on the 4-minute mark. So here in 20 seconds, let's see here. Oh, I guess I didn't see it. Do you think price is going to drop? Why everyone's saying expect XRP to drop to $1.50? Be curious. Okay, so usually I answer the questions at the end of the recap or before I get to the recap, but I'll go ahead and take this one right now. You seem a little impatient, but no, I don't, because I have called out the $1.75 level many, many times. I have called that out multiple times. I think a lot of people believe $1.50 level that, thanks to like Fibonacci levels and other analysis. I personally came up with the $1.75 level and the $1.77 level because those are two periods where we have seen multi-billion-dollar purchases. So we know that there is large amounts of money sitting there waiting to buy at those levels. And I haven't seen it go, I don't think it'll go below that. But without further ado, we will hop into the stream and everything that we are going to be covering today. So we'll just get it started like I normally do. Good afternoon, XRP Army. Welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, kick back, relax. I'm not going to ask you to do anything. But if it's your second time, I ask you to please hit subscribe, smash the like button, and engage in the chat. The chat is the lifeblood of the stream. I'll hop in, I'll do the chart, we'll cover the price and what's happening today with XRP, as well as the overall crypto market. We'll cover the ETFs, all the inflows, and what's actually being held in ETF Trust. Then we'll cover the news, and then I will hop into the chat and I will talk to every single person, questions, opinions, theories. I want to hear it all, and we will discuss it all, because this is more about the long view and what we're going to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and building a community that is around that long view idea, so we can get away from the hype and the noise that is the crypto market. But moving on, we will hop into the chart. Again, talk in the chat, guys. That's what I want to see. So that being said, you don't need a description of the video, do you? That being said, I just said it. I'm trying to cut that phrase out of my vocabulary. We are currently at 186 right now. We had a run up last night on a Sunday. Seems like XRP moves on the Sunday. I don't know, but we had a run up Sunday night into this morning up to $1.91. We fell back down to the 185 level. Well, this is a good thing, actually, to tell you the truth. If you look at this, we were way overbought here when we got up to this level. And what are some of the things we follow? We follow EMA, right? So we pulled below EMA. We stretched way above EMA. It came back down, fell below it, stretched too far, and then it came up, touched it. But if we're looking at RSI, we've talked about this before. RSI is cooling, right? While the price is gaining. So we have a higher low with room to breathe. So we should expect another rise. If we get a higher high, that would be indicative of a reversal. We want to see a reversal. Reversals are good. Reversal means price goes up, because we've had a bear run for a hot minute now. We'd love to see a reversal, but again, we'll have to push through $2 with volume, then 220, then 270 before we see any kind of breakout, because I don't really consider it a big win till we're back over $3. Again, that's just me. My opinion, not financial advice. Nothing here is ever financial advice. It's just for entertainment and educational purposes only. But today in the market, everything's, again, choppy. Chop, nothing really happening. Hype's up a little bit. ZEC's up a little bit. But everything was up a couple percent, yesterday. Everything's down. And again, people are balancing for tax purposes, right? Nothing really major is happening. There's a lot of positioning, and that's what we're talking about, being quiet. And it's a little too quiet because there are things happening. Again, so into the ETFs. No outflows yesterday or the day before, but we did have a day of 0 inflows. So the inflow streak was broken. However, still no outflows. So let's see what we're working with as it stands right now. I actually just did a short on this and actually calculated all the totals up as of yesterday. We're at 667 million XRP held up in these ETFs as of yesterday. Let's see if we have any change today. So Franklin Templeton was at 118 million. Okay, what is going on with this mouse? All right. Franklin Templeton is 118 million and is currently now at 118 million. So no change in Franklin Templeton. Let's check Grayscale. They were at 121 million. No change, still at 121 million. Canary Capital actually went down 800,000 XRP yesterday. It was the first time we saw that. And they're currently the same with 175 million XRP. Bitwise is at 122 million. No change for them. They're still at 122 million. And 21 shares was at 135. And no change for them. So no change today. And again, it's going to be slower going into the end of the year. We are prepared for this. We expected this. And again, guys, if you're coming into the chat, engage in the chat. Questions, comments, thoughts, because I want to be able to talk to every single one of you. The chat is the lifeblood of the stream. Nothing really new to report other than Ripple partners with Japan's banks to boost XRP ledger adoption. I actually pulled up an article on this. Let's get into the news. Is it this one? Yeah. Ripple partners with Japanese banks to boost XRP ledger adoption. Ripple Labs is intensifying its efforts in Japan by collaborating with major Japanese financial institutions to enhance the adoption of the XRP ledger. The newly launched Japan Financial Infrastructure Innovation Program aims to support startups developing digital financial solutions on the XRPL. Applications open on December 19th, offering $10,000 grants per startup, focusing on stablecoins, asset tokenization, and credit infrastructure. The initiative, backed by Mizuho Bank, SMBC Nikko Securities, and Securitize Japan, seeks to leverage Japan's regulatory environment and talent pool to foster blockchain innovation. Despite this, the XRPL faces challenges, with its total value lock dropping from 120 million in July to 62 million amid the broader crypto market downturn. Ripple's strategy aims to create a resilient ecosystem within Japan's banking sector, countering market volatility. So they are expanding even further in Japan. Again, I'm telling you, Ripple is massive in Asia, and I do think it will come on in Asia. We talked about that Saturday in the live stream if you missed it. But I do think we will see the XRP ledger come on in Asia more than we see, or before we see it come on in the United States. I do think that will be our indicator. And when we're speaking about the XRP ledger, I recommend that every single person that holds XRP, or before you hold XRP, preferably, go to XRP Scan, bookmark it. Okay. This is everything that happens on Ledger. We've been talking about this ad nauseum. Okay. So throughout the last 3 months, you can see we took a sharp decline in payments, okay, but it has been steadily staying over a million, roughly right at a million for the last 3 months during this downturn. The XRP ledger is not going away. It is still working, okay? Things are still being processed on the XRP ledger. But with all of that happening, right, all of this happening, we talked about ETFs. We talked about everything that's been going on. I've been mentioning this ad nauseum. The account sets are not stopping. And in the last 2 months, easily, in the last 2 months since November, we have had more account set transactions, which is permissions, getting accounts ready, making sure that they have the credentials that they need, all of those things. We've been going about 40,000 a day with a couple gaps, just a couple gaps, every single day since November. It's more than has happened in the entire history of the XRP ledger. Okay. So although things are, nothing's happening, everyone wants to know, why is why is there no price action with the ETFs? Why, all this positive news, nothing's happening. It's going to have to take place on the XRP ledger. This is what's turning on. And if you look at the history of the XRP ledger, you can see that this is by far more account set transactions that have ever happened in the history of the XRP ledger. There is a lot of activity happening actually on ledger that we're not seeing reflected in price just yet. My opinion, not financial advice. And if we want to take it a step further, XRP ledger implements quantum threat protection. XRP ledger team integrates quantum computer threat protection into AlphaNet. So now XRPL is quantum protected. The XRP ledger team has integrated full protection against the threat posed by quantum computers into the AlphaNet developer network. This was announced by Dennis Angel, lead software engineer at XRP Labs. According to him, the update affected all key elements of the protocol's architecture, accounts, consensus, and transactions. In the blockchain community, opinions vary on when new computing technology will be able to break elliptic curve cryptography, ECC. Most networks, including Bitcoin and Ethereum, use such encryption methods. It is assumed that the advancement of quantum computers, it will become possible to derive a private key from a public one using Shor's algorithm. So that all of that to be said, right? All of that dry information to be said, XRP is ahead of Bitcoin and Ethereum when it comes to quantum computing protection. That's simple. They're done. They got it out the way. Everyone else is still chasing the tail on it. XRP price may be bearish below $2, but on-chain data tells a completely different story. XRP's recent price action in recent weeks has been under selling pressure, with cryptocurrency struggling to reclaim the psychological important $2 level. From a technical standpoint, the structure still leans bearish and lacks strong upside momentum. However, beneath the subdued price behavior, activity on the XRP ledger points to a more complex context that conflicts with what is visible on price charts alone. So it says right here, this is what we want to look at. It was talking about all the price up here, but here it says, however, on-chain data from the XRP ledger tells a very different story. Network metrics show a steady streak of high activity, with daily transaction counts recently approaching 900,000 payments per day, making it one of the busiest stretches in months. This increase has not been smooth or gradual either, as data shows clusters of larger value transfers occurring alongside the rise of the overall volume. So the volume is slowly rising. That's what we were looking at in the payments, but that wasn't showing how much was being sent. Okay. This is saying this data shows that XRP tracker website, XRP scan, what we were just looking at, shows that the daily transaction numbers have been consistently above 900,000 throughout December, with some daily spikes over 1 million in transaction. The pattern suggests that activity extends more than what would expect for the current bearish momentum. So even though the price has been on the downturn, we are maintaining transactions above what the current price says it should be, if that makes any kind of sense. So the bearish momentum and the bullish momentum are conflicting with each other. Which one is going to win? That's what we need to figure out. Let's see here. Top Investors says expect a big news week on XRP ETFs. So the reason I pulled this up here is because I'm really starting to lean away from some of these websites. Crypto Basic is one I'm not going to follow anymore. I wanted to have that up there for you guys. Trading Views on my list, but Crypto Basic is just all over the place with what they're referencing. So I'm not trusting. Don't trust those headlines on Crypto Basic is what I was all I was going to say about that. But the chat has been completely empty. No one said anything throughout the entire stream. So hopefully you all are in here still. If someone could tell me how many people are in the stream, I'd really appreciate it. It's awfully quiet today. Too quiet. I don't like it. I think people are getting tired, honestly. And that's okay. I mean, this is all the news. And if you guys don't want to talk today, that's fine. But there's a lot of negative sentiment going on right now. A lot of people are worn out with crypto as a whole. A lot of people were given a false bag of goods all year, and it was supposed to come to roost right now. And it's not happening. And I'm glad you guys there's 37 people in here right now. Thank you, Todd. I'm glad you all are finding the channel. And if you have questions, thoughts, concerns, want to challenge anything, vent, do it. Let me know in the chat. We'll talk about it. Good evening, Sam. Because right now, all those predictions, theories, and theses that everyone was promised are, coming home to roost, and a lot of people are angry. A lot of people have lost money. Unfortunately, this is what happens in crypto when we come in at all-time highs. Everyone's hearing about it. And let's talk about, I want to point out this one thing. I'm not calling out any other YouTube creators, and I'm not calling out the people watching it, okay? It's a reward system, unfortunately. It's a reward system. The YouTube creators are rewarded with views for providing dopamine hits to the viewers. And they have AI that tells them to create clickbait titles. They have AI that gives them clickbait scripts. It is psychologically designed to hook viewers and create dopamine hits. And a lot of times it's not people's real opinions. And I'm not saying who is and who isn't doing those things, but it's important to pay attention to, and I'm trying to give you guys something different. So if you guys stumbled across my channel, we're here for the long view. I'll answer every question, comment, thought, and we're trying to build something different than the hype pump culture that has become the crypto world on YouTube, unfortunately. But Sam said, good evening. He's off on the night shift driving to work, listening to me live stream. Okay, I appreciate you, Sam. Unfortunately, I don't have anything else. The chat's been fairly quiet today, and that is all the news. We have quantum protection on the XRPL now. We're up to 667 million XRP held in ETF trust. Price is not changing. It's still hovering right around 186. We had a little run up and a little run down. We're still in the consolidation phase. That's what happens when things are quietly getting ready to turn on. And how do I know things are quietly getting ready to turn on? Why have I been preaching that? Because we can actually physically see it on the XRP ledger. This account set activity is not nothing. And we'll see what happens in January, but I don't know. I don't know what this is yet. It's too big to be nothing. It just is. The Peaceful Farm said hello. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. I appreciate you. But this account set activity is too big to be nothing. You don't see this kind of activity on the XRP ledger like all time. I mean, If anyone else has any ideas on what this account set activity could be, let me know. Let me know in comments. Let me know in the chat. I am really, really curious on that. Sam asked, how far is Ripple for getting that banking license? Well, it's a conditional license right now. So, I mean, they have conditional approval. They just have to jump through the hoops. The conditional approval I read could take anywhere between 6 to 12 months, depending on how much stuff they already have done. It could go faster if they meet all the parameters that the OCC is looking for. But the timeline is 6 to 12 months, so they say. But they have the conditional approval. They just have to, do the final check marks, if you will. Chris said, I appreciate the honesty. You seem straightforward and genuine. I like my dopamine only if it involves accurate factual information. Yeah, I mean, I would love to give you all dopamine hits. Let me get out of this screen here. I would love to give you all dopamine hits. I would love to grow the channel, but I can't do it in a false way. I just can't. I would feel too bad if people lost money because I'm giving them something I don't believe in. So I want to build something that's real, and it may take me longer to build it, and it may go slower to build it because it's not clickbait and it's not going to attract all that dopamine. But when things actually do start to come on, hopefully people will see that we have been preaching the same thing all along. And what's the word? Not authenticity, but I mean, authenticity is important, obviously, but let the truth shall set you free, I suppose. The honesty and the integrity will shine through in the end, I hope, is my goal. That's the goal. Operation Buzz says market manipulation. I mean, I would say it very well could be in the sense of that, typical market manipulation with stocks, bonds, crypto. I mean, it can be influenced. It's all future based, liquidity based. The right people with the right money, make the right move at the right time. Yeah, I mean, I do believe we should be probably just fundamentally, mathematically looking at everything. I believe we should probably be sitting at a price of right about $4.50 to $5 right now, just based on the adoption and utility. But the entire crypto market is being pulled down by Bitcoin. So, I mean, we need something to happen with Bitcoin for there to be a separation, a decoupling, an appreciation before we actually get in, because it's still a speculative amount right now. Until it's adopted and actually has a real use case. That's why I mentioned Asia might be the first one to step on with it. It's still considered speculative. It's going to be considered speculative until it's not. It's just that simple. There will be some form of repricing. I don't know what that'll look like, but there will be some form of repricing once it is no longer a speculative asset. That simple. Let's see here. Old Reapert. I'm not sure on that name. Old Reapert. You in Kalawa seem to be giving us legit info. Appreciate it. I'm not sure who that is, but I'll take it. I'm here to give you legit information. I don't want to. And if you guys find anyone who's trying to do the same thing I am, or send them my way. I would love to find someone to collaborate with that I can build with this community that's, of a like mind, because I do really good talking with other people, and that's why I really love the stream. So if there's other like-minded individuals, I would love to have a conversation with them. I think that could be very entertaining for you guys. You and Klaus, I'm not sure who that is. Appreciate the honest takes. Too much fake videos for clicks. Yeah, I mean, well, that's how people grow. And to be honest with you, I have, since the market has slowed down, and this is why people do the clicks and do the clickbait and everything. Since the market has slowed down, not a lot of people are looking up XRP. Views have taken a massive hit. Like for me, at one point, I was growing at like 200 subscribers a day for a couple weeks when, lots of things were happening in the market. But now the market's not happening, so people aren't watching. So it's just clickbait, clickbait, clickbait. And I've been paying for it because I'm not doing it. I've slowed down in my growth. But that's, it's not all about that. I'd rather keep my integrity for you all. Let's see here. Brad Dixon said, did you see that the 2026 New York sign has 589 LED bulbs? I did not see that. That's interesting. Man, they are feeding off of the XRP army right now. It is a marketing phenomenon. People are just addressing XRP to get their name out there. That's maybe I should do something weird like that. Cynthia says negativity driven by agenda driven social media channels like Jake Rector and Digital Outlook fleecing the XRP community. Yeah, I mean, and that's going to leave a bad taste in people's mouth. And unfortunately, it may actually do the opposite of the intention or the claimed intention, because by it's creating a cloud over the XRP community. I mean, we even had, let's see here, Mr. God in the making, making a funny meme about XRP. Some people do view us as a joke because of that, and because of how, I don't want to say people are gullible and naive, but because people were tricked into these narratives, there's a lot of people who are not fully educated on what XRP is, what it can be, what it, what's realistic. And so not a lot of people are fully educated on this stuff, and it makes us look bad. Operational Buzz 589 says institutionals front run crypto markets, not retail, therefore market manipulation. I mean, he who has the gold makes the rules. One of the most popular things I say on this channel is follow the money. The money is going to tell you where to go. So if you want to call that manipulation, you can call it manipulation. I call it thinking. I mean, if people with lots and lots of money are propping something up, that might be a good way to look. Just a thought. But you don't always have to follow the herd. You have to be there early. So hopefully that answers that question for you. I mean, I'm not saying there's no market manipulation. I'm saying it's no different than the manipulation we already know and love happens in the markets. Chris Alamo said, what's your view on holding on exchanges versus cold wallets? Okay, so one line I did steal from Jake Claver that I love, and I will say it's his. Exchanges are like public restrooms. Get in, do your business, get out. You don't want to hang out there because you don't own that crypto. Not your keys, not your crypto. Okay, a hot wallet or a warm wallet is still dangerous. We just learned about that with the Trust Wallet hack, right? If you're going to have long-term storage, it should not be in something that is online. Right now, I would recommend the best form of security. I mean, the highest level of security you can have is institutional insured institutional custody. Second to that would be an air-gapped cold storage wallet. So those would probably be your best options for security. I do not believe it is safe online. If you have to do an update, every time you have to do an update, that gives a chance for a breach. Again, we just saw that with the Trust Wallet, okay? So I am of the believer if you have a large amount, it should be like whatever your safety bag is, should be cold wallet stored, in my opinion, at a minimum. Warm wallets like Trust Wallet, Base, like that's good for moving things around, or if you're going to be putting stuff and deploying stuff into DeFi, you move it on to that first. That's how I would do it. And again, not financial advice, but that's how I would look at it, me personally. Excuse me, I had to sniff, man. I got a bit of a head cold. Let's see here. You guys are doing awesome in the questions now. I'm going to keep going through this. Let me get caught back up. And if someone could let me know how many people are in the stream, I really appreciate it. And again, that's what I'm here for. I love the questions. I love the community. Engage in the chat. It is amazing, guys. Keep it up. Let's see here. Gilbert asks, how can I safely get some interest on my XRP? Right now, define safely. I mean, you got to define safely. Right now, the easiest way I have found is deploying it on the Flare network. You'll need to download and again, none of this is financial advice. Do your own research, okay? But you'll need to download a Bifrost wallet, and you will have to transfer your XRP to a Bifrost wallet, and then you can wrap it and deploy it on Flare and earn a yield on it. Right now, that is the easiest and most efficient way. Is it fully safe? We're talking about DeFi. I mean, that's why I said it depends on what you are calling safe. But I do believe in the I think we're going to get a lot more flow in XRP. And I've heard other people say this, so I'm not taking credit for it, but it's very true. We're going to get a lot more flow in XRP when we have one-click DeFi. And when I say one-click DeFi, that means one click, you take your XRP, it's deployed, and you earn a yield on it. I want this here. Like when it becomes that easy for people, DeFi is going to go to a whole new level. And I really do think that's what they're trying to build. But that's retail. remember, XRP is focused on institution first. Okay, so they're already offering to lend out XRP to institutions, just like they would, someone can lend out cash, just like a bank can lend out cash. They're offering to lend out XRP. So this is coming on. I really think we're going to see a lot of interoperability and a lot of, ways to earn on our XRP. What's yield penetrating ways to use our XRP over the next year. Interoperability and yield growth are going to be the two big things we're focusing on, because the infrastructure and acquisitions are done. Now it's going to be growth and adoption time. Again, my opinion, not financial advice. Hopefully that answers that question for you, Gilbert. Sir Charles says apparently he controls over 1 billion XRP. He gained that power telling everyone that they would be multi-millionaires any day now. I mean, if Jake has over, I'm assuming you're talking about Jake Claver. I mean, if he did well for himself. And again, as I said, we've talked about YouTube and we've talked about crypto in YouTube and how it is a reward-driven environment. And by reward-driven environment, the creators are rewarded with views by creating dopamine hits for the viewer. I mean, it's drugs. It's just like a drug addict. And I'm not trying to be a dealer. I'm trying to give you guys something else. But that's what the domino theory is. That's what shorts are. It's like, so with the domino theory, each domino that falls is another dopamine hit. You're getting closer. Another domino falls, another dopamine hit. Another domino falls, another dopamine hit. So really, that's what it is, and it's unfortunate, and not necessarily anyone's doing it on purpose, but the content creator is rewarded with views, and the viewer is rewarded with dopamine. I mean, it's a nasty, vicious cycle. Old Repper Beta said crypto with Klaus. Oh, crypto with Klaus. Okay, I got you. I'm tracking now. I appreciate it. Yeah. And again, if you guys like the content and if there's other people similar that you enjoy, try and put us together. Let them know. I'm a smaller creator, so a lot of these people won't give me the time of day. You guys are blowing up the chat. I really appreciate it. Let's see here. Let me get back to where I was in the chat. It skipped ahead on me. Yeshua asked, is oil spiking? Oh, let's take a look here. What's going on with oil? Let me pull it up, see what I can find. Is oil spiking? Crude oil. Survey says no. Let me look at it here. I'll pull it up for you. Survey says oil is not spiking. This is crude oil right now on the 1 hour chart. Let me see. Crude oil futures anyway. Let me look at oil. Futures would be doing something crazy. Micro crude oil futures, United States Oil Fund. No, nothing crazy happening in oil right now. Let's see here. Let's go back to the chat here. King Drew says, get off exchanges, uphold closed my account and liquidated my XRP position because I tried to transfer all my holdings into my Tangent wallet. I mean, I can't attest for that, but exchanges, again, if your XRP is on an exchange or any cryptocurrency is on an exchange, you do not own it. They own that XRP or that cryptocurrency, not your keys, not your crypto. So if you're looking at holding for the long term, I would not leave it sit on an exchange. That's just me. Race fan in the house saying hello. Brad Dixon's in the house saying 46 people in here. Chris he appreciates the advice, and I appreciate it. And again, that's all it is advice. Again, not financial advice. It's just my opinion and answering the questions. You guys need to do your own research, okay? King Drew said also it takes 60 days to get a refund, so I can't buy in again until when they refund my deposits back to my bank. Yeah, so I mean, again, you don't control that money, unfortunately. I'd rather, if I was going to hold it long term, I would at least have a form of cold storage wallet. Again, if you already get a cold storage wallet, there's several good ones out there. I'm not representing any, but if you are going to get a cold storage wallet, I say order it directly from the manufacturer. Don't order it from a third party. That's how you get stuff with stuff already on it. And if you want the best security, you should get something that's air gapped, right? Never touch the internet. Let's get back to what's happening in the chat here. Or I'm gonna have old repert. I'm gonna bait. I don't know this name. Old reprobate said, if XRP is institutional, is there a chance that retail gets locked out at some point? I mean, how they can't. I don't think there is a chance. They can. That's what's great about it being a public ledger, right? It's Ripple is institutional. XRP ledger is a public ledger. They can't lock anyone out of the XRPL. It has to be a vote. You know, one of the things I was actually looking at was creating my own validator node too. You guys can do that as well. Any of us can create our own validator node, just so I could be a part of the XRP ledger and have more insight into it. Is something I was considering doing as well. But no, they cannot lock retail out of the XRP ledger. It is a public ledger. Now, if they can make it so, so difficult to get a hold of and so costly that it makes it difficult for people to trade it and those kinds of things, but they can't kick anyone out of XRP and XRPL. It's just not possible. Sir Charles said, so true. So I'm guessing he agreed with something I said. Race Vance, a question. I believe it was Vet that looked into current XRP supply and exchanges. He states the number is 15 billion. What say you? Info in Crypto Eerie video today. So Vet that looked into the current XRP supply on exchanges. The last update I saw on what was available XRP supply on exchanges was the chart from Binance that showed there was $2.6 billion worth. We have not, that's the thing, is that there is not one good way to see what exchange is holding what, and it changes every single day. So you have to take what you see from basically all the different data out there and come up with something that's universal to all of them. There's not really a good way to determine it. So I have been assuming, because I saw that thing that said 2.6 billion, I assumed double that for my math. I'm like, there's at least double that. So I was going with 5 billion for a conservative math figure. But to answer your question, there is no way to find out exactly how much XRP is left on exchanges. You can't. There's not a way to do it. So someone's saying that they are, I would like to see what their source is for that, because I don't believe it. I don't want to say they're lying or they're wrong, but I haven't been able to find anything that shows me exactly how much XRP is on exchanges, and I would love to know. Same thing with OTC desks, same thing with dark pools. If we could see how much XRP was in a dark pool, it wouldn't be a dark pool. You know what I'm saying? So King Drew asked, let me find out where it was. Oh gosh, there it is. King Drew 28 says, what's a realistic bull run peak for 2026? Do you see us hitting at least $25, $50? That is going to come down to a couple different factors. And I'm not trying to give you catalysts like some of the theories, but we don't know what XRP role is going to fill. We don't know what role XRP will fill. So if we don't know what XRP role will be, what it will be, it's impossible to determine the value or what it could be. And a lot of people have asked that. I've been trying to hold off till we get clarity, because once we get clarity, we can better define a role for XRP. We already know institutional adoption is happening. We already know that there is ramp up on the XRP ledger, and I'm sure there's some people who joined in. And before I get fully into this disclaimer, I'm going to cover the whole thing for you, King Drew, because I think that's a great question. If you guys are just now hopping in the stream, engage in the chat. I'll do a recap as soon as I get to the end of it, but I'm answering all questions, thoughts. This is just turned more into an XRP hangout than it is anything else. So I appreciate y'all taking the time to be here with me, but I want to touch base for those coming in. I will hop back into a recap here very shortly, but go ahead and start engaging in the chat, and then I will come back to it. Let's see here. Now, we are talking about the realistic bull run, and I think it's going to all be about clarity. It's going to come down to clarity and what actual role XRP is defined in. By then, we can come up with a better idea. But we do know we have institutional adoption. We do know that there is large amounts of activity happening on the XRP ledger. These are things that are confirmed. So we can guess that adoption and utility is ramping up, right? So XRP is being physically removed from supply by ETFs institutions are buying. Ripple got their bank charter, right? Government's behind it. This is adoption. Now we can start seeing things ramp up on the XRP ledger. And we've been talking about this chart. If you're new to the stream, I'll pull it up again. We've been talking about this chart ad nauseum. This is the account set permissions, right? Accounts being set up, getting ready to go on the XRP ledger. There has been more activity in the last 2 months than the history of the entire XRP ledger by far. So this is not nothing. We don't know what it is exactly. We can't go back and look and see what accounts are being adjusted. I wish there was a way to see that. We can see whose accounts are being added in, who they belong to, but we can't. Retail doesn't do that much activity on the XRPL though. So that's something institutional being built. And I mean, again, not financial advice. I can't say that with punity, certainty, but I mean, the math ain't mathing in my head for that. So I do think there's a that was my long-winded way of saying I do think that a price of $25 to $50 is surely possible, but a price of $2 to $5 is just as possible because we don't know what role XRP is going to fill yet. We just don't. And until we have that clarity, it is impossible to determine what value XRP will hold because it is a technology that is designed to move value. We need to know what value is going to be on the XRP ledger and how XRP is going to be utilized to move that value. Then we can come up with a better determination of what XRP price will be. Let's see here. Jabez says, hello from the Netherlands. Welcome, Jabez. Welcome. Chris Alamos, are you still working to become a financial advisor? Yes, I'm still working on my Series 65. It takes me longer because for those of you who don't know, I had multiple strokes a few years ago and I have short-term memory loss because of that. So unfortunately, a lot of times I'll stumble, over a line or something like that when I'm reading the news. A lot of times I'll forget what I read. Like for instance, I'll have to reread a paragraph like 6 or 7 times to remember it. So when you're talking about the verbiage has to be perfect on a test or whatever, it's really, really hard for me to commit that to memory. That used to be a really easy thing for me. So it's just taking me longer to study for it. I feel like, if it was 3 years ago before I had the strokes, I could have taken this test in a month, but I'm preparing for it. I am still working on it, Chris. Yes. Matt says they're referring to all customer accounts, not what is owned by exchanges. Okay. So then you're just, 15, that sounds realistic then. If they're talking about 15 billion in like real liquid supply, like what's just floating around and can be moved, that's like not in a cold wallet. Like if they're counting like hot wallets, like, Trust Wallet and Base, as well as the exchanges. Yeah, I could see that being true then, sure. Operation Buzz 589 says, does the Clarity Act speak to yield staking regulations to safe keep one's crypto like bank insurees deposits up to $250,000? I don't think so. Here's what I think on that. I don't think we're going to get clarity as far as insuring cryptocurrencies like that, because I think that applies to the US dollar. They're not that, the FDIC insurance applies to US dollar, it applies to banks. So I could see it applying to stable coins. And they actually wrote that, I think, in the Clarity Act and in the Genius Act. I have to go back and look. I saw something on it before and I can't remember exactly what it is, so don't quote me. But something like in those FDIC issues, stable coins will be paid out first over like actual dollars. But not crypto, because crypto isn't insured by the US government. It's not insured by the banking system. So in order for it to have like FDIC insurance, like a traditional bank and dollar savings account kind of thing, it would have to be brought into the financial infrastructure on a similar level to the US dollar. Otherwise, it'd be like insuring the value of something in a safety deposit box. Like if you put a $400,000 piece of jewelry in a safety deposit box, you have to go get underwriting and get separate insurance for that. So that's basically crypto qualifies as property in that regard right now. So you would need separate underwriting insurance. Not the bank's not going to cover it because it's not backed by the US government, essentially. I hope that answers that question. That was a long way of talking through it, but no, I don't think they're ever going to get to the point where they have it insured like that because it's property. It's not being treated like the dollar. It's not backed by the government. Will crypto be suppressed until clarity passes? Yes. Again, I'm not saying there's any kind of suppression or manipulation happening, but until we get clarity, institutions, governments are going to see it as speculative assets, right? Until we start seeing clarity and adoption, and the governments are willing to say, this is what this is, and this is how we're going to use it, that like they're not all going to hop in. This is going to take time. So that's why everyone was talking about these, these God candle spikes. I mean, I would love for it to happen that way, and I would love to be wrong. I just don't see it moving that way. I do believe it's going to move a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Like, we're going to see a massive increase return of investment on our XRP and many other cryptocurrencies, not just XRP. But I'm not of the vein of the domino, theories. Kenny says, why is it ETFs like $20 a share, XRP $1.86, does multiple prices go up? So ETF prices are determined by how many XRP each share represents. So for instance, if the ETF's trading at $19, I'm just throwing that out there because, XRP is like roughly $1.86 right now. So if an ETF share is trading at $19, that's because that ETF share represents 10 XRP plus fees. Okay, they charge you fees every time too, to maintain it. So that's why there's a difference between ETF price and actual XRP price, because each ETF represents, each ETF share represents a certain amount of XRP, and each ETF issuer sets that up differently. So some may have one share represents 5 XRP. Some ETFs may have 10 shares, or 10 XRP represents a share. Some may have 20. It just depends. But that's why you'll see a difference in the prices versus XRP. And that price will follow XRP just on a larger scale. So if, let's see, if XRP is $1.86 and it goes down 10%, and the ETF is, $19, it'll also go down 10%. But that doesn't mean people are selling the ETF. That just means the price is following XRP. So that's how you can see people buy ETF shares and have ETF inflows during a falling price, and see the actual ETF price go down, and it still have inflows because the price just reflects XRP. It has nothing to do with the buying and selling of the physical ETF itself. Let's see here. Hopefully that answers your question, Kenny. King Drew asked, how do you feel about people saying they won't let that many people get rich? Very few hold a big bag. I don't think they are losing sleep over a few million when 90% of people haven't bought in. I 1,000,000% agree with that. They don't care about us. Really, I was actually just looking at the crypto rich list not too long ago. I want to say was it over 90%? Yeah, over 90% of XRP holders hold less than 500 XRP, right? So actually more 95%. Like the top 10% of XRP holders are the people who hold the multi-million dollar bags. So if you're talking about a large scale price appreciation, not that many people are going to get wealthy. And of the people who do, how many people know how to handle it? They're going to give it right back. They don't care. I really don't think they care about us, because really, if let's just say hypothetically, let's speculate and have a hypothetical thing here. Let's say that XRP does go to $1,000, right? And I'm going to throw out a number. It's not what I hold. And I hold 5,000 XRP. Okay. And it goes to $1,000. Now I have $50 million. Okay. I know what to do with that money. Okay. I know what to do with that money. I know how to invest it, how to keep it safe, how to not blow it. But what about some 22-year-old kid who's got 500 XRP and it goes to 1,000, and now all of a sudden he has $500,000? He's riding around in a Lambo and buying this and bottle service. I'm not saying all, but you get the idea. There's different people. Okay. So if it were to appreciate to some astronomical number, I guarantee you over half of the people are going to give it back very quickly. Again, my opinion, not financial advice. So I really don't think they care about the few people that get rich, because wealth is a mindset more than it is about money. Because and that's shown by the people who get money, because a lot of people who don't have that mindset will get money and they'll be broke, right? That's the lottery thing. 75% of lottery winners go broke. I think it would be the same thing. XRP ETFs seem to be the only with no outflows over this tough period. That's positive. That's very positive. That shows you institutional backing. In the midst of a bear market, think about it. I mean, the price hasn't done anything good since October, right? October. Government shutdown in October as well. Think of all this bad stuff since October, right? Price has gone down since October. But remember, the first XRP ETF went live on November 13th. The first, not all of them, right? It's been staggered. It hasn't happened all at once. And since that point, it's taken in 667 million XRP, the 5-spot ETFs, 667 million. Firm number, guaranteed, counted it myself from the issuer websites. That being the case, if that much has been removed from 5 ETFs in 45 days, when all of those ETFs weren't live the entire 45 days. I remember Canary Capital was the first. That's compared to Grayscale, Franklin Templeton, that's small potatoes, right? So this is just the beginning in a bad market. Can you imagine when they start pumping liquidity back into the system, when they have more rate cuts, when we're in a period of extreme fear over the last 2 months, right? The fear and greed has been in a 10 to 24 and lower. Even we saw it as low as a 6 a couple times on stream when I was pulling it up every stream. So the fear and greed index has been at all-time lows for the entire year, and we're still having inflows. Can you imagine what happens when positive sentiment comes back in the markets and people are pumping money in freely? We might see an appreciation then too. I mean, the fact that it has stayed here and had these inflows during this horrible crypto market is incredibly bullish to me. Again, not financial advice. Stroke is tough. I had mine 3 years ago. Oh, yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I had 2 3 years ago. It was August 1st of 2022. I'll never forget it. I woke up and went to stand up out of bed and fell because my left side didn't work. Woke up from work. So I had 2 in August of 2022, and when I was in, they found out I had a third minor one sometime previous, over a year prior, that had healed. And then since then, I went back to work and found out that I was having micro hemorrhages in the same area of the brain. So they've determined that I'm having stress-induced strokes, and that if I continue to put myself in periods of high stress, that I'm going to continue to get bleeds and strokes. So now I'm on short-term disability, transitioning to long-term disability. Jabez says he got his facts straight. Araya says, we are here for the long view. That's right. We're here for what's going to happen a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Not what's happening today, tomorrow, next week. Do you think XRP will go under $1? I do not. If we go below $1.75, then I believe it does open us up the chance to go down to $1.50, then $1.20. But we're not. I am not fearful of $1 until we fall below $1.75. And the reason I am so confident on that is because, again, we've had multi-billion-dollar purchases at $1.75 and $1.77. I believe, again, not financial advice, that moneymakers are sitting at that level. And as long as moneymakers are sitting at that level willing to buy it, I don't think we're going below there. That's a lot of money sitting at that level. Dragonizable. So where is your XRP moon? Talk to me a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and 20 years from now. Like I've been saying every single time, Dragonizable. I thought Bitcoin was supposed to consume everything by now. Why hasn't that happened yet? And for those of you who are new, Dragonizable's been around for a while. He's a Bitcoin maxi, and it's all in good fun. He and I joke back and forth. Kenny Stallone said, thank you, buddy. It does. All right, I'm glad the answer helped you out. Operation Buzz 589 said BTC and ETH do not have use cases like XRP, Quant, etc. That's what makes me believe price manipulation is involved. Ripple has continuously positive news, yet price is either flat or reduces. What gives? Again, remember, Ripple news does not mean XRP price. XRP transactions and stuff like that does not mean good news for Ripple. So let me give you a scenario. So Ripple's doing all these great things, infrastructure, all these things. Ripple holds, I believe, $90 billion worth of XRP, okay, under their control. Ripple's valuation as a company just came in at 40 billion. If that tells you how institutions view crypto, okay, to them, crypto is purely speculative right now until it's not. XRP is not going to move on Ripple news unless it's retail. Institutions aren't going to move it that way. What's going to move XRP price is supply and demand, right? Supply and demand and use, right? Adoption, use. It has to be moving value. And the more transactions, right? The more accounts set up on XRPL, that signals more transactions to come, hopefully, right? That's what we're banking on. That's what's going to be what raises the price. Not Ripple news, because XRP is not a security of Ripple. If Ripple does IPO in 2026, I'm certainly buying that stock. I'll tell you that. But if they do IPO in 2026 and then we get Ripple news, that stock's going to go up with the Ripple news, right? And that's actually a good thing. We do not want XRP to move with Ripple. We want it to move with the value, because when the trillions and trillions and quadrillions of value come on to blockchain, whether XRP Ledger, wherever it ends up, as long as we capture some of it, it's going to increase our price. And that's what we want. Bitcoin, Ethereum do not have use cases. Bitcoin is a store of value and they're trying to create other use cases for it. ETH is a layer one that all layer twos are built on. So, I mean, could something functionally do what ETH does? Yes, but ETH has built out so much and they have so much financial backing from Wall Street, specifically JP Morgan. And they are building, they do have partnerships with use cases being built on Ledger. They are partnered with that, or they're not partnered, but I mean, RLUSD is on Ethereum. A lot of the major institutions are using Ethereum for their projects. So I don't think Ethereum is going anywhere. Do I like it? No, I am not a fan of Ethereum. I think Solana could be better with a little bit more help. But again, I digress. Let's see here. Yeshua, do you watch crypto YouTubers, and who is your favorite if you do? I watch a couple. Well, not necessarily crypto YouTuber. I do watch a couple crypto YouTubers. I really like Meet Kevin for macroeconomic. He doesn't really cover crypto per se, but he covers the full economic spectrum, and I highly encourage any of you. He does a great breakdown of it. I highly encourage all of you to watch it if you are interested at all in what's happening with just the overall broader economy. I like Zach Rector. He's good at proposing. I like a lot of his ideas. I don't like where he goes with them sometimes, but he does give good information. I don't necessarily like his takes on them. Just like I present the information and give you my take, I would like for someone to say he presents the information, I just don't like his take. I'm not trying to give you bogus information, or mislead you. But so I like Zach Rector. I like his information. I just don't necessarily agree with all of his takes. I really like Crypto Wendy. Crypto Wendy is one I like to follow. She gives straight updates and quick little tidbits. It's not overinflated. And really that's about it. Everything else seems really, really overhyped anymore these days. Actually, the more I've started making YouTube videos and getting into what goes into them and the psychology and the clickbait and the titles and, even like the micro cuts and things like that. Like there's so many subtle things that go into making those videos. It's made me leery of who I watch, to be honest with you. So yes, I do watch some. Those are the ones that I watch. And you guys are blowing up the chat. I appreciate it. If someone can let me know how many people are in the stream, I appreciate it. Let me find out where I was in the chat so I can catch up to it here. Okay. Let's see here. Dragon Eyesable said, if I had XRP, I wouldn't even give you money to take it off my hands. Oh, I appreciate it. Go buy some XRP and then give me money and your XRP. Do you want, oh, that was the do you watch crypto YouTubers? Three Brothers said, hello, I'm late. Happy New Year. Oh, not yet. We still got a little while to go. I'm a dragon just like the fairy tale. I'm glad y'all are having fun. Martins Carlson says X payments, XLM, and XRP. I do hold a little bit of XLM as well. I like XLM. I like XRP, obviously. I like Ondo. I like Avalanche. I like HBAR. I really like Chainlink. I got a little XDC. Anything with tokenization and real world adoption use case, I'm heavily looking into, that's for sure. MCAS says, if Japan and Southeast Asia have been using XRPL for a while now, why hasn't it affected the price? Or is that what the $1.86 384 is? They haven't been fully using it. They've been testing it. And if you actually go back and look at the XRP ledger, you can see fluctuations in payments and in account sets and activity that line up with the testing, right? That line up with the pilots. There hasn't been like full blown yet. Now, Ripple payments, right? Ripple Net has been given full sanction under the Monetary Authority of Singapore. It doesn't mean they're all using XRP, but that now means that Ripple and the XRP ledger is now an option in that corridor. That's how it starts. Okay. It's not all just going to jump on there all at once. And sorry if I screamed into the mic, but it doesn't all just jump onto the ledger all at once. You know, it's like that's what a lot of people were told, that we're going to have this mass economic crisis and we were going to be forced to use the XRP ledger all at once for the liquidity. That didn't happen, right? Banks are slower than that. I mean, it's not going to happen that fast. A lot of them will see something burn down before they lose money. I mean, it's the truth. They don't care about us. So yeah, even though there's smarter, better things, they haven't been using it at the scale that you think they might be or should be. A lot of those were pilots, and you can see the activity on the ledger that started, hung up, and then pilot was over. It went down. I don't think any of this price we're seeing right now is due to ledger activity. I think the price we're seeing now is more due to speculation, retail buying and selling, supply and demand, more than utility. My opinion, not financial advice. Let's see. Operation Buzz, Brad Garlinghouse has stated that everything in Ripple does is to benefit XRP. Agreed. Absolutely, he has stated that. But again, if we are going to be truthful, we have to understand the risk that the risk of XRP. If we're going to hold it for the long haul, we have to be honest about the risk. And the truth is, the risk is that Ripple can succeed without XRP going to the moon. But you are 100% right. Brad Garlinghouse came out and stated directly to the XRP army that XRP is at the center of everything they do and to lock in. So really, the truth is, do we trust Ripple or not? Do we trust that they're going to do what's right by XRP holders, or do we trust that they're going to leave us to the whims? That's why we diversify, right? I happen to believe XRP is going to be an asset that appreciates. I do actually, maybe stupid on my part, but I actually do believe that they are here for the betterment of the XRP ledger and XRP because it's going to help them in the future. My opinion, not financial advice, but it's for you to make up your own opinion, develop your own thoughts, do your own research. But I will tell you that is the risk that we have as XRP holders. I won't lie to you about that. XRP is Ripple's North Star, says Araya. Yeah, I even ever hear of ETHgate? Yep, I heard of ETHgate. I've heard of ETHgate. Trust me. Let's see here. So Dragon Eyes, we'll see. To go off of what I just said, he said what Brad says means nothing. Really, it's up to you. Do you trust him at his word or not? Yeshua says, I like watching Camilla Stevenson. Her breakdown are excellent. I actually did catch a video of hers not long ago. I've only seen one, and I watched it, and yeah, she's very straightforward. I liked what I saw. I just haven't watched too much of it. I'd spend most of my time researching, to tell you the truth. And again, if you guys want to see the channel grow, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe. And if there's someone you want to see me work with, let me know. Let them know. I'm trying to find someone who's of a similar thought, because I think being able to have a discussion with people would be would be really, really great content, honestly, as opposed to just me out here talking to myself. But when you can actually discuss thoughts and theories, it opens up more conversation, in my opinion. Dragon Aswell said, yeah, I must give you that. BTC isn't performing well at the moment, but as soon as noobs stop selling BTC for silver, it will moon. There's a lot of FOMO in silver right now. I said that yesterday because people were asking about the silver increase. It's not like people are, all of a sudden magically going out and buying and holding silver. It's that it's all derivatives, futures, leverage based. I mean, so people are playing in silver right now. I think a lot of it has to do with FOMO, to be honest with you. I mean, silver doesn't pump like that for no reason, right? I mean, people didn't just go buy pounds of silver. Now, it does have a lot to do with AI and the data centers and stuff like that. Don't even get me started on the billions of dollars that's in debt in AI. That's an entirely different story. Everyone agrees on the Camilla comment. Yeah, I can't. I've seen one video and I liked what I saw. I should watch more. She's a much bigger YouTuber than me, so but yeah, from what I've seen, I would agree. Very, very straightforward. I can appreciate it. That's all the info. Let's hop into a quick recap for everyone and let everyone know what we covered today. Let me pull up the XRP chart so we can see what happened since I was looking at oil. The stream was very active today. I appreciate all of you. You all are chatting it up a storm. I love it. And currently price is now at 184.9. We dropped the cent while we were talking. That's unfortunate. On almost no volume too. Look at this volume. RSI. So we were talking about RSI, right? RSI is way down here. It's almost oversold. And we're currently at $1.84. We've talked about this. Let's look at the last time we were at $1.84, which was right here, $1.85. And then we were at RSI here. So RSI has cooled while the price has stayed flat. That is a sign of a bullish indicator. Hopefully this will reverse and continue to the upside. But again, we're not here for the day-to-day price. We're here for what's going to happen over the long term. And over the long term, or in the last year, it's been painful for anyone who doesn't own Zcash. But that means fire sale, right? Ondo down 75%, Velo down 75%, Avalanche, Quant down 40%, HBAR down 60%. I think I need to hop in and buy some more HBAR if I get some money right now, honestly. I'm starting to get interested in hype with Hyperliquid. I'm going to look into that a little bit more. But XDC is down 32%. I mean, if you're in the crypto market, Bitcoin down 8%. Bitcoin's actually holding up pretty well. I mean, but again, they're less volatile than the others. Ethereum, where's Ethereum at? Ethereum is down 14%. So really the entire market is bleeding. It's not just XRP. XRP down 15% for the year. This is a buying opportunity. My opinion, not financial advice. We covered all of the ETFs. There was no change from yesterday. Between every single one of the 5 spot ETFs, there was a total of 667 million XRP being locked into supply. And we also covered the XRP ledger. Everyone who holds XRP should have this bookmarked, xrpscan.com. This is where you can see physical activity happening on the ledger. We have been talking ad nauseum about the recent account set transaction spike, right? This is when they're setting up permissions, bringing accounts online. There has been more activity in the last 2 months than in the entire history of the XRP ledger, and you can see it clear as day. It's that simple. Quantum threat protection is now live on the XRP ledger. XRPL has already protected against quantum hacking. This is great for us, so you can feel confident locking up your XRP in a cold storage wallet, and you don't have to worry about quantum computing. Just throwing that out there. We talked about the inflow streaks, right? XRP price may be bearish at $2, but on-chain data tells a different story. They have had more inflows than Bitcoin and Ethereum over the last month. That is a fact. So is Solana, by the way, but XRP did beat Solana. But that's a fact. There have been more inflows into XRP over the last month than have been into Ethereum and Bitcoin. Food for thought. There is institutional craving, not to mention that there's been a slow, steady rise in payments and also the account set activity spike. Everything's quietly happening in the background. It's not happening up front. The noise moves, the price moves last before everything. That's why people don't see it coming. If we got a heads up of when the price was going to move, everyone would hop into it. It kind of defeats the purpose. You know what I'm saying? We also talked about Ripple partners with Japanese banks to boost XRP ledger adoption in Japan. So they're essentially giving out $10,000 grants starting on December 19th, offering $10,000 grants per startup focusing on stablecoins, tokenization, and credit infrastructure. The initiative, backed by Mizuho Bank, SMBC, Nikko Securities, and Securitize Japan, seeks to leverage Japan's regulatory environment and talent pool to foster blockchain innovation. So Japan is paying its people, Japanese banks are paying its people to build out directly on the XRP ledger. Japan is all behind XRP ledger. That's just going to be, there's already rumors about Japan tokenizing their entire economy on the XRP ledger. If we get more than Japan, I can't imagine what kind of value that's going to bring to the XRP ledger. Again, rumors, not financial advice, but Japan is heavily involved with XRP and the XRPL. You guys were chatting up the storm here. Let me hop back into this. Let me see what everyone's saying here. All right. Everyone likes Camilla. Okay. Noobs are not keeping Bitcoin back. Which noobs exactly can afford even one Bitcoin? Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you think that retail has any impact on Bitcoin price, that's one. I mean, at this point, with the billions and billions of dollars that's invested by hedge fund managers and DAT companies, I really don't think retail is having any influence on Bitcoin at all at the moment. My opinion, not financial advice. Is Ondo a good buy right now? Again, not financial advice. I can't give you guys financial advice. But yes, I do believe Ondo is a good buy right now because they have adoption and because they're working with BlackRock. They're partnered with BlackRock on tokenization projects. That to me is value. That to me means it's a good investment. There's real world use case already defined and it's down like 75%. Like those are the things I look at. Those are the things I'm willing to take a risk on. That's what I'm like, yeah, I'll throw $1,000 at that. No offense, again, not financial advice. I'll say it a million times. But those are the situations where I'm like, yeah, I'll throw $1,000 at that and hope it does something in 10 years. It's like the NFL draft, right? Almost everyone loves football. It's like the NFL draft. You have two options. You can trade up and invest all of your assets into one or two players, or you can trade back, or you can, spread it out and throw lots of darts and hope a couple hit. You obviously use analysis, education, and research to try and narrow down those throws, right? Because those throws are money. You don't want to throw away money. But yeah, I do think it's going to be darts at a dartboard. There's going to be some winners and some losers, but look at it from this perspective. If you have $10,000 to invest, and again, not financial advice, but if you have $10,000 to invest and you pick 4 crypto projects that you love, 4, you do your research, you look at it, and you look at 4 that you love, and you invest $2,500 in each of those, okay? 10 years from now, if one of those did 100x, and one of them did a 20x, one of them did a 10x, and one of them went to 0, are you going to be mad? No, you're not going to be mad. You threw the darts. 1 hit big, 1 lost, and 2 meh. You know what I'm saying? So that's how this game works. No one knows what it's going to do. You got to diversify a little bit. You can't go all in. Dragonizable said every altcoin is good at the moment. Every altcoin is down at the moment. Every altcoin's a good purchase at the moment. It would seem, right? Down for the year for sure. Yeshua said not financial. He knew before the words came out of my mouth. No matter what, Dragonizable says no matter what, Bitcoin will pump. I don't know. We'll see. Operation 589, BTZ will pump them all until it doesn't. Decoupling will occur at some point. I agree. There will have to be some decoupling at some point. Once the utility comes on, it's going to have to set there. There will be a decoupling when they're, like I said, no longer viewed as a speculative asset. Once they have a use case, a defined use case and role, then they'll start moving as they should based on their role and adoption. The next sentence of what you were reading looked interesting. I don't know what I was reading. Sailor is a former convict. Okay. Oh, Michael Saylor's a former convict. Okay. Fishman said, yeah, but all in XRP. Okay. All right. That's the recap. You guys were very active in the stream today. I appreciate it. It was a good Monday. Monday streams are always good. I'm glad everyone had a good Christmas. We got New Year's coming. New Year to start, and we're looking for an appreciation in January. If you guys are here for the long view, I appreciate it. Make sure you hit subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment if you're watching the replay. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.